louder voice than our president. Let's just take our seat and let's settle down. Thank you.
You have 3 comments? You have 3 people signed up to speak?
I have actually, there's 5 names on here.
Okay.
So I am absolutely going to limit comments to no more than 2 minutes because we have got to get through this meeting. As a board, we have an appointment at 11 o'clock that we have to be at. So Sherry McGee is first.
Sherry McGee, Shadow Ridge. I have a comment about the,
Talk in the microphone.
I'm short, height issues. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. The minutes from last year's annual meeting, March 20th. I believe there might be an error in the election results. It looks like they are in numerical order going from most to least. And in the 4 candidates who did not make the vote, one has, Jerry had 764 votes, and it was the same as Max Allen. I think possibly that was a typo based on how they were arranged. The one before him was 749, and they had Jerry was 764. I think Jerry probably should have been 746. I don't know if that's correct. Is that correct, Karen?
I will check the numbers. Yep.
Okay.
Easily check.
Because if it was the same number, there should have been a runoff vote, which didn't happen, so that's why I think it was a typo. So it is an official record, somehow it needs to be corrected and posted.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
And Marcy, thank you for your work on the team this year.
All right, Charlotte Phillips. That would be Phillips.
Yes, I'm Charlotte.
Okay,
I'm Wood Estate.
raise your microphone.
I'm Charlotte Phillips. I'm Wood Estates. And I'm going to read my statement, otherwise it will take much longer than 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to comment on how our money is being spent on various projects at Westbrook Village and how priorities are being established for these expenditures. I have heard that the gym is being painted and the floor replaced. Is that true?
Nothing's been decided as far as I know.
Oh, okay. I am a frequent user of the gym and see absolutely nothing wrong with the floor or the paint for that matter. And I have spoken to our maintenance people and they agree with that statement. They seem to think there are many basic maintenance items that need attention really on both sides, phase 1 and phase 2. And they believe that there's a lot of neglect around the property. I would recommend that our various committees check with our maintenance people who are certainly to be respected and know much about the maintenance needs on both sides. And I would also like to add that I am very much against expanding the gym. I see absolutely no reason to do that. I'm a frequent user of the gym. I am there at times when 1 or 2 people are there. I realize there are busy times, but I do not see spending that kind of money for an expansion. And I would also like to ask if this is going to be voted on by the homeowners. That's another question I would have.
2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
One last comment. We have many infrastructure projects, and I just want to make sure that our priorities and our criteria for how we spend money come first on those critical issues.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
name is Sil Mayorano at Cypress Points. I'd like to make a couple of comments regarding the financial presentation at last week's annual meeting. At that time, in my opinion, a couple of red flags were raised. First, regarding the operating fund, for the first time in 8 years, there will be $0 transferred from the operating fund to the reserve fund because we do not have a budget surplus. I did a research over the last 7 years, and the average annual transfer from our operating budget to our reserve fund was $233 a year, and that's due to a budget surplus. So it's a little bit unnerving that in 2025 we have no surplus. During the presentation for 2025, it was noted that the operating fund revenue rose by 2.5% and the expenses rose by 6.9%. That's just not a sustainable formula. Our revenue is restricted by the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, thus we could only raise the annual assessment by $19 per household. This is an old problem that the board tried to fix 5 years ago by amending our CC&Rs that restrict assessment increases by the CPI. That effort was miserably failed, unfortunately. We have limited options. Also of note, in the January Treasury report, it indicates that 2025 revenue will be $3.3 million. 2025 expenses will be $3.5 million. That's a $200,000 deficit. That's in that Living Magazine Treasury report for January. And the question is, what the heck happened if you started out with a break-even budget and suddenly we're at a $200,000 deficit? Another red flag is in our reserve fund. We're budgeting 150 home sales for 2025. Since we don't have an operating fund surplus to transfer to the reserve fund, that means that the reserve fund is solely dependent on home sales to generate revenue, that plus a little bit of interest income. Again, I did a little research and found for the years 2018 through 2021, the average annual number of homes sold was 255. That's 100 more than the projected 150 for 2025. At roughly $4,000 preservation fee paid by new homeowners, and 100 difference, that's $400,000 annual income difference.
Okay.
I believe the 2024 number of home sales were also roughly the same, about 170. So it's clear that there is a trend of downward home sales that we have to deal with. Both those red flags indicate that we have a revenue problem at Westbrook Village. The operating fund is restricted by the CPI, and the reserve fund is now limited by fewer home sales. I would encourage our board this year to watch these numbers closely and to consider opening a dialogue regarding options to increase revenue.
Okay, thanks, Sil.
Options are limited, but I just want to get this in. The dreaded A word, special assessment, should be considered. $100 to $200 per household will solve a short-term problem, not necessarily long-term. Thank you.
Thank you, Sil.
Thanks, Joe. Kevin Nielsen, Ironwood Estates. I'll try to get us back on a 2-minute time frame. I just wanted to thank the board, general manager, the staff for the hard work and the success we had with that parking vote. It meant a lot to us, and you guys all took it seriously, and we got it done. Congratulations. And another thing that just came up during the earlier meeting, it's nice to see the camaraderie that seems to have developed pretty quickly with this board. People seem to get along, joking, back and forth. I enjoy it. It makes me feel a lot more positive. Thanks.
Okay. Oh, there you are.
I was ready. Hey neighbors, Eagle Ridge, I had to remember where I live. I have 2 quick comments. I was at the Lakes Pool last week. They had the aerators on, and there was warm water coming into the pool. So that's an issue for Sean, I believe. And I don't know if they were just testing the aerators. It had been warm last week. But I would like to see those aerators run at night when there's not people in the pool. If you're trying to do a water aerobics class, you cannot hear the tapes or the CDs because the water splashing makes so much noise. It's like thunder. So I would like to see those aerators run at night when there's nobody there.
Okay.
The other issue is, and we have it at both recreation centers, the watering system waters our cars very nicely. And that water is very hard, and it's very hard to get it off your car once your car gets wet and sits in the sun for a couple hours. I would like to see them water during non-hours. So when the recreation center isn't open, they have all that time to water the grass. So those are my two issues.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Okay. I will call the meeting to order. And I believe you can confirm we have a quorum.
Stand by. Okay, confirmed quorum. Secretary, Westbrook Village Board of Directors, newly appointed secretary in pursuit to Article 4, Section 7 of the bylaws of Westbrook Village. Quorum, 1/2 of the number of the directors then serving shall constitute a quorum. At a meeting of the board, there are 7 directors at the Westbrook Village Board at this time. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. But I know, it's not, and it's not on here. I'm going to ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, review and correction of the February minutes. Please get a motion.
I make a motion to approve these minutes as written.
Second.
Okay.
I have a correction.
Okay.
Page 1 at the bottom, where it says ASTM F446-19, the next is ADA standard versus ADS.
Okay. Any other corrections?
Tim, can you explain that to me, please?
Yes. Basically ADA stands for accessibility standards.
And what does the number mean?
Well, basically it has to do with the handrails that we're looking at installing at the pool.
And what, can you expound on that a little bit for me, please?
Yes, basically you need to have 2 access routes within a public pool, and we have one. We have the lift, and we have stairway, which you need to have 2 handrails in order to go down.
Thank you.
Any other corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Joe will abstain because Joe was not a board member at the time.
Shame on him.
He got excited, I know. It's first vote. All right, that passes. All right, treasurer's report.
I will move to accept the treasurer's report subject to audit.
I will second that.
Okay. And now we'll let the treasurer actually give the report.
This is for the month ending February 28th, 2025. Cash and certificates of deposit on hand at the end of February totaled $3.6 million. For the full year 2025, we are forecasting a total revenue of $3.3 million, driven by $3.1 million in homeowner annual assessments. Budgeted expenses for 2025, $3.5 million. There will be no transfer to our reserve fund for 2025. As of February, revenues and expenses remain aligned with projections. We continue to monitor expenditures closely in light of economic uncertainty and tentative project forecasts. Additionally, we remain attentive to broader monetary factors, including interest rate fluctuations, home resale activity, and general cost-effective circumstances in 2025. Replacement Reserve Fund. Funds earmarked for major repairs, replacement, and capital improvements. Cash and CDs on hand at the end of February total $4.5 million. The 2025 revenue forecast is $750,000, largely supported by $665,000 in new homeowner preservation fees. In 2025, as noted above, there will be no transfer to the reserve fund in 2025. Projected interest income of approximately $85,000 is anticipated for 2025. Notably, interest revenue through February is approximately $16,000. Budgeted reserve fund expenditures for 2025 total $1,219,050, which include planned projects such as the perimeter wall repair and painting, HVAC replacement, RV lot comp resurfacing, perimeter fencing for the pickleball courts, and long-range plan professional services. Other normal infrastructure repairs and replacements and expenditures will be addressed as needed. These financials will be on file at the Westbrook Village Administration Office afternoon on Thursday, March 27th. The February Treasurer's Report will be reviewed and approved at the annual Board of Directors meeting and available following day. For questions or to schedule an appointment, and we all know the number, 623-561-0099. Thank you.
All right.
I move that we accept the January and February financial statements, both the operational and reserve funds, subject to audit.
I'll second that.
Any additional questions or comments?
You have two motions on the floor. Max, do you want to remove your first motion?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So we're still going with a $200,000 deficit in the operations fund.
Regarding what, Sil?
The operations fund, 3.5 million expense, 3.3 million revenue.
Yes.
Wow. So we're in the hole 200 grand for 2025.
Well, we'll have to see how the budget rolls out during the year.
The budget said break even, and now it's only 2 months in the year, and we're saying 200,000 deficit.
Actually, we're even right now.
But this says 200,000 deficit, is that what we're?
That's projected, baby. It's gonna depend on the economy. You know that as well as I do.
No, I understand, but right now, I mean, that's not a pretty picture.
I agree. I agree, and this has been coming for a long time already.
Okay. Thank you.
As a past treasurer,
Your revenue's done for the year, right?
No.
You have collected all the assessments. Everybody had to pay by January 31st. The only money you have left coming in is going to come from ballroom rentals or, miscellaneous income that we bring in, plus some investment. So it's the expenses that have to be looked at real closely. Your budget for 2025 says 3.4 million in expenses, now it's 3.5, so that's a little,
Oh, I agree. I mean, as a past treasurer, you know as well as I do, that's why at our monthly Ways and Means meeting, we go through the budget line item at a time.
Yep.
Always looking for someplace where we can recoup some money. Absolutely.
okay.
Which is why, even as I'm not gonna be the treasurer, I signed up for Ways and Means because in my mind, that committee, especially that committee, keeps track of everything that goes on here, every penny we spend.
I agree.
Does that 200,000 deficit include the 300,000+ that's being projected for the pickleball fence and the gym refresh?
That comes out of, that doesn't come out of the operating budget. That comes out of the reserve budget. Yeah.
So
And those are projected numbers as well.
That's what I said, yeah, projected.
So there's an error on the treasurer's report. I think that's what Syl's trying to point out here. Our budgeted revenue for 2025 is $3,482,865. Expenses is $3,448,260,
That's the budget.
with a positive 34,000.
Right.
And as we know, and Sil knows this, the revenue through February of 28 is 603,473 because of majority, because the assessments get spread out over 12 months.
Yeah.
Yes, Jim.
Okay, so I think I can speak on that. Jennifer Stout at Hunter's Place. So I've been, well, I've been to the last two Ways and Means.
Hold on, please come to the mic.
Okay.
Thank you.
So in the last 6 months, I've been able to come to a lot of these meetings and now in February, I was at 9 different meetings.
Thank you for that.
The Ways and Means Committee, I've been able to come to the last 2, and I thank Bruce for what he's brought up. And are we taking this, Joe had a question at the last Ways and Means, the $375,000 that is budgeted to put the RV, resurface that, where has the money, and I asked this question too, what is the expenditure, what do we pay for, how much do we take in? So we take in $120,000 a year for the, was that not the answer to my question? For the rental space of those RV, at the RV? And again, why is everyone paying for resurfacing for something that only how many people get to use? So where is the extra money? Because I asked, what was our electric bill there? What was the video, the re-putting of the wall, you know, whatever, the gate needed to be replaced, but somebody's home insurance paid for that because they hit it. So again, where is our overture, or our extra money every year for $120,000 been going? Have we been investing that? Bruce has also brought it up the last 2 meetings. We put money, I think, into IRAs. We put, and Karen and you guys have worked together. So I think, is that being shown? All the interest you put $1 million into for 1 year, you put 250, you said, so I don't know, if this is something that's not being on that, is that what, we're not showing that income coming in, and as we get started here, it's gonna be income that rolls every 6 months.
That's correct.
That's correct, is that being shown on the budget?
Yes.
Okay, so again, the $375,000, do we want to, or are we going to reconsider that at the Ways and Means to say what at the last meeting? Remember, are we going to say if we're going to look at that again? I think we left it.
Yeah, I think that line item is listed as rentals or income.
So the RV lot has been in existence for 40 years. There are many years we have minimal maintenance. Every so often, when you look at the reserve study, we had to replace the south wall 10 years ago, and now we're doing a major project after 40 years on the asphalt. Many years, we spend less than $5,000 to $10,000 just to run and operate that. So those funds, those additional funds, we have revenue of about $100,000 from the RV lot each year. So in fact, the RV owners are paying for this project. That money has been reserved into the reserve account to fund the infrastructure projects needed. We do not spend $100,000 a year to maintain the RV lot.
And I think it's important to recognize that this has been over 30 years now, that this lot has been producing income for this association. And I think we need to be aware of the fact that we do have a responsibility to those folks that use that facility to upkeep it. And I honestly had never been in there until Mr. Davis took me in there last year. And it's in pretty rough shape, and it does need our attention.
Is there a way to show maybe from now on, that RV lot as a separate income line?
It is on your
It is.
revenue statement.
What
Go to
line?
page 19 and look at 4440, your general ledger. We brought $20,000 in to date in 2 months on the RV lot. We've budgeted $103,837. So it is a separate line item for revenue.
And that information is available to the public as well, right?
Sure, it was on their budget that was mailed out in November.
Thank you.
So real quick though, when we redid the parking lot out in front of the lakes, it needed to be torn up and redone. And both Joe and Bruce have a vast experience in construction, and they can tell you we really do need to tear that all up and redo it.
Yeah, it's important to recognize with asphalt, you can only patch and repair it so long. And it does become ineffective to keep dumping money and just repairing it. And I think we're at that point. I mean, to get 30 years out of asphalt is unheard of. So we've done wonderful.
Okay, Vince, I'll let you ask one question and then we've got to get
Just a quick, we can send money from the
Yeah, microphone, please.
We can send money from the operating fund into the transfer it into the reserve fund. Can the opposite be done?
No.
It can't.
Nope.
Okay, so if we get to September and we've used up all the operating fund, what's going to happen for the next 4 months? No maintenance is going to be done at all?
I don't think that we will get to that point. That's what the point of the Ways and Means is to watch all of that and to not get us to there. Going forward, it's trying to figure out how our budget can withstand some more cash flow into it than what we've got, because our expenses will only continue to go up over time.
If we look at page 19 on your financials, you will see that our revenue is ahead of budget after 60 days by $16,275. The Ways and Means has laddered the investments of the assessments to make sure that the day-to-day operating expenses are covered all through the year.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the board to,
We have one more question.
oh, we do, oh.
Sacco Torrey Pines. If we're trying to watch the budget, why are we spending useless money on things? The cornhole and the horseshoe, how much did that cost?
Joanne, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and sit down because we've got to get this meeting on the order. And talking about that from the past is not going to help us right now with the budget.
The point is,
Voted on 2 years ago, it's done and over with.
we need to watch our money more.
Right.
Not you and our useless stuff.
Right.
So you're talking
In
budget.
your opinion.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, you're talking about the budget is going down a little bit. So but my point is, we need to watch what is being spent and what it's being spent for.
Right.
And maybe get residents' opinions of what they like and what they don't like.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have a motion on the table for the approval of the treasurer's reports for January and February, subject to audit. I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. Joe, you can vote on that one too. You can. You get to vote. Now you vote on that. Okay.
We'll get them broken yet.
All right, moving on, facilities usage reports, page 27 through 32 of our packets. Do we have any questions noteworthy to do?
I have a question.
Yes, Jeff?
Are these super reliable? These here, or some? Do we
They're
have
as
a-
reliable as people,
Right, a plus or minus, like within what percent do you think? Is it dependent on which facility? Because for example, I bring up tennis. I know it's very inconvenient for them to go sign in, and I see more people over there than these numbers. So I'm just curious, do we have a formula in place that we're thinking of?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for the most part, these numbers are probably fairly accurate. And the only way that they can be accurate is that people are actually doing their swipes.
Right.
Including the fact that coming here to the Falcon, you don't have anybody who sits out there and makes you do it to get through the door. So it's a reliability that people are actually, doing that. In addition to the fact that they're also tagging that they're going to multiple places. They may just come in and say, I'm going to the pool, but then end up going to the gym. On top of it, if you didn't say you were going to the gym doesn't get the number. So.
And I noticed the library numbers seem to be a tally by ring versus a swipe.
Well, yeah, they're supposed to swipe, but that doesn't always, especially in this building, happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Marcy, can we make sure, it says that this is only through the 23rd of the month?
No, go to the second one, go to page 30.
Did you change it?
We're doing 2 months of everything because we did not have a board
Okay.
meeting last
Change
month.
that?
Yeah.
Well, again, are we going to count at the 30th of the month, or the last day of the month, or we going to do on the 23rd?
Always the 23rd, in order to prepare the board binder in time for the first of the month. The cutoff is at a certain date, but it's every month.
So the Wine Club will never be on this.
They'll be on the following month. They can change their date if they need to. I don't think Cindy wants to do that.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Okay. Moving on. Next is Vista's Pool. And we somewhat tabled this one from our last meeting, and I just don't know how much really more time that we've got. Our understanding is that what we have on the table for the Vista's Pool and up for consideration is to remove the blue tiles that are in there and replace them with the yes,
Correct.
which at this point, that is the only project that we're going to be doing, with the potential that Water Volleyball has requested that if it is going to be done, that we put in some tax in there to be able to put barriers up in that. But that is a question that still needs to have some exploration done to it. So, and for any other.
So if we're tabling this to May, I would like to have any other items that needed to be costed out so we can have it in the May binder.
Yes.
We currently, from the February meeting on page 19 of your binder, we had draining the pool, removing the 2 ghost lanes, removing the tile from the exercise area, a gate, concrete pour back, and a 3rd handrail. Is there anything else we need to get proposals on before the May meeting?
This would be the tap.
The out of bounds hooks.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yes, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
The hooks and floats, right?
Yes.
We need to look at, since we're draining the pool, we need to look at possibly doing a permanent mounting area for the net, and we also need to look at having something like the lane floaters to make sure that players don't fall into the hardscape and hurt themselves.
Right, that's the one thing, and we would not put holes in the pool for the post. The post will go on, when they want that, the post would need to be drilled on the outside of the pool, not on the inside of the pool.
And the anchors for a device that keeps them from falling into the hardscape, how are you gonna do that?
Yeah. That will go up under the edge of the pool, like it is now. Yes, Drew.
I think we solved that problem, so we're gonna take that proposals. We solved that problem with adding additional weight.
Right, that is correct,
Yeah,
yes, so we're not
looking for a proposal for that.
correct. It's just the hooks.
Just the hooks and
Just-
ropes.
Yes, yes.
The hooks and the floats.
The hooks and the floats. Yes, Kay.
The other thing, Karen had said they were gonna put the exercise bars in for the water aerobic.
That will be when it's drained. Yep.
So that needs to be on the agenda.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
We have a date for that?
we haven't voted on it yet,
No,
Mike.
this is just,
It's just to have it come to the meeting for May, is having all of the proposal, and the board will then address it at that time. Yes, Joanne?
Will we have more time to talk about it, other than putting this on a 2 minute time at the next meeting?
you'll have 3 minutes.
When we have it as an agenda item, yes, you will be allowed to give us your feedback on that. Okay, all right, new business. Maintenance truck purchase. Can I please have somebody from Ways and Means discuss that?
Sean, what happened to the old truck? Explain that, let's start with that.
I was driving around with my GM and she broke it. No, the head gasket blew and looking into the repairs, once that happens, then you tear down the motor and inspect and maybe put in a new head gasket, but then the cylinder heads could be warped or the block could be cracked or anything like that. So it was recommended to look into the new avenue of getting the new truck, which we did. We were quoted somewhere around like $7,000 plus for the fixes that might not fix our problem. That's why we kind of looked into getting the new truck.
And then additional 6,000 once they tore the top of the engine down. There was a potential of a $13,000 to $15,000 expenditure on the truck. That's
Worth
the
what?
2012.
Yeah, it was probably
Worth less than that.
yeah, way less.
Yeah, it was worth $9,500 in perfect condition.
And we have a 5,200 in non-perfect condition.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean, for all your hard work on
Yes,
that.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next is a ratify, page number here,
33.
All right, this is to ratify the motion that was done by unanimous written consent of the board members. This was a motion that was brought due to the concerns presented. We moved that the board suspends approval and enforcement on the January 8, 2025 motion regarding our guest pass policy pending further discussion and input. It was passed unanimously, and now we need to, as a board, vote for that, correct?
To ratify it, yes.
To ratify it, okay.
I move that we ratify the vote on whatever date that was.
I'll second.
February 6th.
Okay, good.
And I will second.
All right, any questions, comments?
Joe can't vote.
Joe can't vote.
Can I ask a question though?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's just a little confusing for a lot of us. Are we ratifying that it's gonna get moved up in price, or are we ratifying that it's suspended?
We ratified that, the motion that was made was to not continue with the motion that had been passed. on guest policy. So we basically rescinded that guest policy motion, and that's what this one was, so that we can revisit the conversation about guest passes
In the future.
in the future.
Okay,
That
thank
is
you.
correct.
Thank you.
Okay?
So how do we go from a 7 to 1 to raise prices to where we are today?
That conversation is the conversation that we will have in the future. Tim, that's not the motion that's right here on the table at the time. All this is right now is to just say that we are not going forward with that policy that we had voted on, but we will bring that conversation back as an agenda item, and at that time can be addressed.
Next.
Okay, I'm calling for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Are you not now ratifying?
I'm still in the
your vote?
discussion phase. So my deal is that, okay, so if we bring it up at a later date, what is it, what's that motion gonna look like?
Whoever makes it.
What it will look like when it gets brought up, Tim. This motion this right now, all we're doing is ratifying the fact that we are not talking about that original guest pass policy that we passed. That's it. That's the only conversation. Nobody's looking to put that back into place right now, right this second. All we're doing is just saying we removed that policy.
We're tabling it for further discussion.
Actually, that motion had passed. What we're doing is ratifying that vote that took place by unanimous email.
Right.
So are you just saying that when you voted to increase it to the $100, if I'm correct, you voted to increase it to the $100 for the 25 punches, but now you're saying, no, we're gonna put it back to the way it was and not do anything about it?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
That's it. That's the way it's been. It's not changed. Nothing changed. We will have, that does not mean it will not be an agenda item brought back onto the agenda and will allow to have conversation by everybody, but that is not what this is.
Correct.
That's basically rescinding that policy.
Okay, thank you for
Yes.
explaining.
I think it's important everybody realize that policy never was put in place.
That is correct.
And made active. And I was one who didn't realize how impactful our decision was, and I felt bad about the original decision I made, and for that I apologize to you all, because I didn't listen to everybody, and I needed to. And I hope you guys respect the decision we've made to rescind this order, because we do need to listen.
Okay. So, Tim, are you still not voting?
No, I just wanted to make sure we were clear on what we were voting for.
Okay. So you are in favor of us ratifying our motion that we already did?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right, next agenda on our item is going to be actually moved to May at the request of the homeowner. So we will deal with that at that time. And moving on to committee reports, just because we have shortened time, everybody's answer to their minutes are in your binder can be fine. So architectural control is the first, which there's not much to report there, unless I have unhappy homeowners, but I think everyone was okay. So Tim, government relations.
Yes, tonight at CCV, Christ Church of the Valley, is the first State of the City given by our Mayor Jason Beck. And my lovely wife and I get the opportunity to have dinner with him tonight, so we'll be talking to him.
Okay. Next is information technology, which is me, and I'm just going to read the statement that I put together quickly. As I expressed during the annual meeting, we had 1,860 votes ballots, were casted before the meeting, which constituted 1632 in e-votes, 6 paper, and 222 phone votes. We had 15 additional votes at the annual meeting. There were apparently 24 ballots requested by mail, of which only 6 were returned. In talking with the voting company, we learned that 271 of the votes cast did not vote on the board of directors. They only voted on the parking. So had this been a normal voting cycle, we would have had 1,604 votes cast. We had 1,480 in 2024. This represented an increase of 8.38%. And we had made quorum in 2 weeks with that. And while I would like to have seen the overall number of the voting increase more, I will continue to endorse the e-voting process as it made voting much easier. And I would only hope that more homeowners would take advantage of that process. Landscape and facilities.
Your minutes are in your binder.
Okay. Long-range planning.
Minutes are in the binder.
Cornerstone.
Minutes are in your binder.
Steve, personnel.
No meeting.
Okay. Max, record.
Minutes are in your binder.
Okay. Town hall.
No meeting.
Okay. Ways and means.
Guess where the minutes are?
The binder. All right. And the golf course and association joint meeting.
Ditto.
Okay. All right. Manager's report.
In your binder. Any questions for us?
Okay.
These are all on the website for us to see. Are those on the website for us to see this?
Yeah.
Yep, and they go in the magazine.
Yep.
The exact copy that
Yep.
goes in the magazine.
Yep. All right. Yeah.
Do you have a breakdown of what each candidate got for the board? Is there a breakdown?
That'll be in the minutes. Yep. In the annual minutes. All right. For the good of the order, anybody got any goodness out there?
One item. Excuse me, my voice is gone with my allergies, I guess. If we're going to continue to get crowds like this to our meetings, I think we should consider borrowing or exploring or somehow. This is having a certain number of chairs and more people than chairs. It's like musical chairs here. And I think we ought to consider that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Max. Yes.
Yeah, Marcy, when will the guest policy discussion be on the agenda? Will that be May?
I'm not positive yet, but you could get the agendas out ahead of time. So I checked there to see what is the agenda items, but given that I've only been sitting here now for about an hour and a half, I don't know what the agenda items will be yet for May.
I would like to request that it's on there. It's been 5 months that I've been trying to get it on the rec committee and then the board agenda, and it keeps getting dumped. And so I'd like to request that it be on the agenda. There's so many issues and so many pieces on the guest policy that do need to be fixed, discussed, changed, etc.
Okay.
And it's a long process, it may go to committee or something, but just to get it started.
Okay.
So I'd like to request that it's on there for me.
Yes.
I think we should have a town hall on the guest policy before you guys are alone. I think the whole community should be involved in this. It's a very important issue to everyone, not just my particular group.
Okay. I hear you. Yes.
And there are a lot of people that are gone during the summer, so I think the board should take that into consideration when there's a large amount of people that are able to do it.
Okay. All right.
I have 2 items for the good of the order to dovetail on Mr. Davis's comment. Mayor Beck will be coming and performing his State of the City here in Westbrook Village next Wednesday morning, April 9th at 10 a.m. at the Lakes Ballroom. So please join us in welcoming Mayor Beck. He says he always enjoys coming to our community. And then don't forget, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the administration parking lot is your Shred-a-thon that is sponsored by our new council member, Rick Stokes. So that's tomorrow, 8 to 11, 5 box maximum.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, one last thing. So, when we were looking at doing the chair position for the rec committee and for the second member, it was pretty much decided that I wouldn't be running for the second part. Even though you may think that, I hope you weren't thinking the fact that I was just wanting to take my ball and going home. But I had spoke with Max later, and I've talked to other people, and that it is what it is. So I apologize.
Can you stop it?
Okay, and with that, I will call the meeting adjourned.
Okay, board members, we're going to be meeting at the late